I moved to the Philippines with no money and no plan, only a backpack and a dream of starting fresh. I wanted to escape my old life, which felt empty and exhausting. But what I didn't realize was how hard it would be to land in a new country with absolutely nothing. When I stepped off the plane in Manila, the heat hit me instantly. The streets were alive with sounds of jeepneys honking, vendors shouting, and people moving in every direction. It was exciting but terrifying. I had less than $10 in my pocket and no place to stay. That first night I stayed at the airport, sitting on a bench, clutching my bag close to my chest. I couldn't afford a hotel, even the cheapest ones were out of reach. I kept thinking, what if I fail? What if I can't survive here? I tried to sleep, but the noise and my hunger kept me awake the next day. Reality struck hard. I needed food. I wandered outside the airport and discovered carinderias, small roadside eateries that served rice fish, vegetables, and soup for just a few pesos. I stretched every coin I had and bought a small plate of rice with fried egg. It wasn't much, but it filled my stomach and gave me hope. I also learned quickly that water could be refilled at stations for just 1 peso. So I kept a plastic bottle with me everywhere I went. Transportation was another challenge. Jeepneys were cheap but not free when I had no money. I walked under the hot sun, sweating through my shirt sometimes for hours to reach different places each day. I asked myself the same question. How long can I last? Like this one afternoon? A tricycle driver noticed I couldn't pay the full fare instead of getting angry. He smiled and said, "It's okay, Kaibigan. Pay me next time." That moment shook me, because back home no one would do that for a stranger. That was the first time I felt the kindness of Filipinos, a kindness that would eventually save me. I met a family who lived near a market. They saw me wandering and struggling, and one evening they invited me into their small home. They gave me rice fish, and even joked with me as if I was part of the family. They didn't have much, but they shared it anyway. For the first time since I arrived, I felt safe. I felt like I belonged, but kindness alone wasn't enough. I had to find a way to earn money, so I began looking for odd jobs. I washed dishes at a carinderia. I helped stock shelves at a sari-sari store. I carried bags for market vendors. Sometimes they paid me in food, sometimes in a few pesos. Every coin mattered slowly. I began to survive. Each day was a new test. Some nights I slept on the floor with a thin mat, mosquitoes biting me constantly. Other nights I found a church that allowed people to rest inside when I thought about giving up. I remembered I couldn't even afford a ticket home. The only option was forward still. I was learning something important. Survival wasn't just about money, it was about people. The Philippines showed me that strangers could become family, and that laughter could exist even in hardship. Filipinos shared what little they had and never made me feel like a burden. One lesson I'll never forget is that happiness isn't about wealth, it's about community. Months passed, and I finally discovered a turning point. I learned that with free Wi-Fi in cafes and public areas, I could look for online jobs, since I spoke English fluently. I started writing small articles and editing papers for a few dollars. At first, it was very little, but in the Philippines, even a small income can stretch far. I saved every peso carefully, and soon I was able to rent a tiny room, no more sleeping on floors, no more constant hunger. I had survived, but more than that, I had grown. I had arrived with nothing but the Philippines. Gave me everything: lessons, friendships, and hope. Looking back, I realized my survival wasn't about luck. It was about resilience and the kindness of people who had less than me, yet gave more. I came thinking I would be alone, but I ended up finding a second home. The streets that once scared me now felt familiar. The food that once tasted strange became my comfort: rice fish, sinigang adobo. These became part of my story. I thought I was running from my past, but I was really running toward a new beginning. I survived because I refused to give up, because I learned to be humble, and because the people of the Philippines showed me what true generosity means. The hardest nights taught me strength, the smallest meals taught me gratitude, And the strangers who helped me taught me that family isn't only about blood. It's about love and support today. When I think of the Philippines, I don't think of how poor I was. I think of how rich I became, not in money, but in lessons and experiences. The Philippines didn't just help me survive, it taught me how to live again, and for that, I will always be thankful.